So just a quick heads up in advance. When I was setting up to make this video, I thought it'd be really funny and cool to record the video portion with the same old camera that I used when I made the Hey Mr. Wonka video. I do still think that it would have been a fun detail, but I didn't take into account the fact that the camera is very old and unreliable, so it just totally drained the batteries and died on me about a third of the way through the video. Thankfully, I had already made the decision to record the audio with my computer mic, so I still managed to get the rest of the video recorded afterwards. While I was editing the video, I thought it'd be funny to turn myself into a single frame PNG tuber for the rest of the video portion after the camera dies. I did consider making myself a full PNG tuber with like 7 or 8 different poses and expressions to switch in and out across the rest of the video, but the thought of editing all that together sounded like absolute hell, so I just went with a single frame instead. I think it might be funnier like that anyway. Given how long this video is, I really don't think it's going to be for everyone, but I just wanted to record a sort of commentary / behind the scenes video for my own recreation, as well as a reaction / comparison video for the original. There's going to be a lot of pausing the videos, a lot of going back and forth between the two, and a whole lot of rambling tangents over the next hour. So if you don't want to sit through all of that and you just want to see the original video as well as a side-by-side comparison with my own recreation, you can check the description for all of the necessary links. For everyone else who chooses to stay, let's just get right into the video then. I genuinely thought that the Hey Mr. Wonka thing was just going to end, like, I didn't expect that I would be able to figure out who it was who made it, but I thought it was going to end there, but I got a message from Chris Raygun. He found the original upload. It's been up on YouTube since October 2008, just unlisted. I did check, it doesn't have any comments. I was kind of hoping that maybe I had a comment on here from like my old account, but there aren't any comments on here. It only has 1,300 views, so that's like my recreation has like over 3 times as many views as that. So I'm going to link the original video in the description below. You can watch that video. This is going to be a reaction video. I don't do reaction videos. Obviously, I don't do reaction videos, but it's going to be a little bit of a different reaction video because what I intend to do with this is I'm going to watch chunk by chunk my video, my recreation. I'll kind of pause and whatever to talk about like my thought process about like specific lyrics or visuals, you know, that I'm more or less confident that I got correct. Maybe some behind the scenes stuff, you know, just kind of do like a commentary behind the scenes thing. And then I'll go over to the original video and compare it there and kind of see like, you know, what I got right, what I got wrong. I don't know for sure if this is going to end up being an interesting video, but I figured I would get my reaction to it. So I've clicked on the original video. I have it brought up, of course. I did like see like the first like second or two of it, but I stopped watching when I realized that I should do a reaction to it. But one thing that I noticed that I thought was kind of funny is by sheer coincidence, my recreation. You know, I have like a little disclaimer, you know, talking about how it's a recreation, all that, just a couple seconds long. But because of that, it made my video length the exact same length as the original, down to the second, which is, like I said, complete coincidence. I mean, obviously they're both a parody of the same song, and so I assume that I got some of like the opening and closing lines incorrect, you know, that aren't like the song lyrics. I know for sure I at least got the first one a little bit wrong because, like I said, I did watch the first second or two. But so I guess that just probably pushed it just the 5-6 seconds it needed to be the exact same length as mine. But with that out of the way, I'll get started on mine. Like I said, I think I'm going to start out by watching up to the ending of the first chorus. And like I said, there'll be a bunch of pausing for me to talk about certain things. And so it's going to be very different from your typical reaction video, but I think that's probably for the better. You're never going to believe what happened to me today. So I wrote a song about it. So yeah, a couple things right away. So I know in the original he had a guitar. That was one of the things I remembered. Since I don't play guitar, I don't own a guitar. So I decided a very 2008 solution to that problem would be to just use a Guitar Hero guitar, because if you weren't around, like if you weren't gaming during that time, or I mean, I guess you could be watching this and have not been around during that time or have no memories of that time, but Guitar Hero was everywhere. Everybody had Guitar Hero. It was like the Wii in that sense that like every single house that even vaguely did gaming had one. And so of course I have one. The other thing is like the annotation here. I don't remember that being in the original video. I just remember that being a very very common thing you'd see around that time because I don't remember for sure when YouTube introduced the high quality option. Because like, it used to be every video on YouTube was like 240p, maybe even 140p. I don't remember for sure, but eventually they added an HQ button that you could click and it would put it in high quality. And so this was a very, very common annotation to see of people like pointing down to where the button would be and reminding you to watch an HQ. And then eventually they updated it to be HD. And then, now you just have like all the different quality options. I guess this is another behind the scenes thing, is that in order to get the annotation to kind of stand out a little bit more, I rendered the music video in 480p. I probably should have done it in 360p in hindsight, but whatever. And then I re-rendered it with like the opening disclaimer and the annotations in HD, or 720p. I probably should have done the music video in 360 and then the annotations in 1080 just to make the contrast that much more. Because I didn't want this to seem like it was baked into the video. I guess another thing, like when I watched the first couple seconds of the original video, I did notice like he was sitting at his computer desk or whatever, and for some reason I remembered him sitting just like on a chair in the middle of an empty room. And I was thinking about that and I realized I'm pretty sure I was just getting that confused with the actual original Hey There Delilah music video. So there might be certain things like that. There's certain things throughout the video that I'm not totally 100% positive I was getting correct. And in thinking about it, I wonder if at least some of those were taken from, like unintentionally, was drawing from the original music video or a different parody that I watched on YouTube, or even my own parody. But I'll get to those when I get to those. Right, so this series of shots here, from the close-up of playing the guitar, to like this shot of like the gameplay reflecting in the glasses. There's going to be like footage of the game itself, footage of the controller. I'm reasonably certain I got all those correct, but I'm not sure if I got those in the exact right order. I'm 99.9% sure it cuts to a close-up of playing the guitar first and foremost, and then it's the gameplay, controller, and close-up on the eyes footage that I feel like any order is what they could have been in the original, and I'm not 100% sure if I got them correct here. But this felt the most correct to me, so I'm curious to see if that lines up. Oh yeah, and I should also mention that this is gameplay footage that I found on YouTube. If you type before :2009 or 2010 or whatever, it'll just show you uploads from before that date. And so that's how I just found like old, I think it's from like 2009 gameplay footage, and just recorded it straight off the TV. But I did link to the original video in the description if anybody, for whatever reason, wants to watch an old Halo 3 multiplayer match.
Well, I was sitting in my bedroom playing Halo when my friend comes in and says, man, you've got to...
Alright, so one thing I'll mention is like I'm like 99.9% sure I got the lyrics correct. And the reason why I say that instead of 100% sure is because there are a lot of little things that I think might be different. Like just very little things like the lyric is when my friend comes in and says, but I think it could have been then my friend comes in and says, or when my friend came in and said, just little differences like that. I'm pretty positive I got like all the major lyrics correct. There's just little 1 or 2 word changes to each line that I think could potentially be different in the original. I guess also just because this is kind of doubling as a behind the scenes thing. These are just reading glasses because I remembered the close-up shot of the gameplay footage. I remembered the game reflecting in the glasses, like here, like I was talking about before. I'm curious to see if that is actually the way it was in the video, or if I just made that up. But you can see this shot right here, that it's just pure white. I just have my big screen TV right in front of me, and originally I had the video, or on the TV I had YouTube playing the original Hey There Delilah music video. But it's very easy to forget, unless for whatever reason you go back and use old cameras regularly, just how even shitty cameras today are way better at keeping up with changes in lighting and color grading on the fly than older cameras. Like with this one, when I had the Hey There Delilah music video playing, it would constantly shift back and forth from like way too bright to way too dark. It was a lot more drastic than I was expecting, so I had to redo this whole part. I just found like 10 hours of white screen on YouTube and just put that up. And then also, I should mention for the singing part, I did that for the most part in one take because I didn't try to make the singing sound bad, but I also didn't try to make it sound good. I kind of just did like an impression of like the way I used to do song parodies. You know, I had a parody of Hey There Delilah from 2009, and it's pretty much the way that I sang that.
I couldn't find a single book I wanted to read when my friend comes in and says, man, you've got to see what I TiVoed.
And I intentionally, you know, didn't cut out any of the breaths. You can still hear those, because I figured that's probably something that you wouldn't think about if you're, you know, 13, 14-year-old kid making a music video for YouTube back in 2008. But I didn't remember specifically how the singing sounded in the original, so I didn't, like I said, I didn't try to make it sound good or bad. I just kind of went something in the middle. And then I did bump up the pitch very, very subtly. I'll play a side-by-side comparison right now when I'm editing this, so you can kind of see how it sounded originally.
Well, I was sitting in my bedroom playing Halo.
Versus how it sounded when I pitched it up slightly.
Well, I was sitting in my bedroom playing Halo.
And then for the most part, I recorded the whole thing in one take. I only would stop and go back and re-record a part if, like, there was one part where I was recording, I think, where I missed a lyric or something happened where I had to go back and re-record. And then there was another couple of parts where I re-recorded them because I didn't think they sounded right.
I was sitting in my bedroom playing Halo when my friend comes in and says, man, you've got to see what I TiVoed.
I'm pausing a lot. Hopefully, I'm assuming somebody's going to find this absolutely infuriating to watch. But for this guy, for his friend, I don't remember for sure if he changed his shirt or took off his glasses or anything like that when he was playing the character. I did remember, like, it wasn't until I was like actually sitting down to make the music video that it occurred to me that he was the only person in the music video. Like there are later parts where he's talking about, you know, like his brother or the other kids at the factory, and you don't see him. And it occurred to me that, like, oh, he was the only one in the video. So I don't know if it's just I never took notice of the fact that it was the same person playing both characters. Because I do have kind of like partial face blindness. You know, if two people share like similar features, similar like skin tone, similar build, you know, have like the same hair color and hairstyle, I cannot fucking tell them apart. And so if he took off his glasses, he could be a whole new person to me, especially when I was a kid. I feel like I've gotten a little bit better at recognizing, distinguishing between faces the older I get. But it's also possible that I knew that, and I just kind of forgot about it because I just took it for granted. But that's something I'm curious to see in the original.
To see what I TiVoed, and I said, I can't play now, I'm almost dead. I'll play instead.
Okay, that part, this is another weird little detail, but it is something I remember, is that during that part, when it cuts back to his friend, before he starts singing, I do remember there being like kind of a moment where he's just kind of standing there awkwardly, like kind of waiting for the part of his line to come in to start singing again. But when I was filming this, I actually forgot to act that part out. But that just happened naturally, obviously, because I was waiting for the part for me to lip sync. And so that actually ended up working out perfectly. And I guess now it's probably when I'll find out that like that wasn't actually even in the original video. I know there's a different part where I definitely 100% sure remember there being a part where you could tell he was just waiting for the lyrics to come in for him to start lip syncing, because he has a very different facial expression, and all of a sudden just snaps into character when the lines come up. But I'll get to that when I get to that.
Said Mr. Wonka just sent out 5 golden tickets, and if you happen to find one, you...
Okay, I remember, and I'm very, very curious to see if I'm remembering this correctly, but I remember there being a very distinct voice crack on that line, on the find. So what I ended up doing for that part then, because I feel like voice cracks, for one reason or another, are very, very difficult, even for like professional actors, to get sounding believable. So I think I recorded that like 2 or 3 times, and like for this take, I actually like physically like poked my throat when I was singing "find," you know, to find one. And I don't know if it's a convincing voice crack. But like I said, I did remember a very distinct voice crack on that line in the original. And so that's how I always would sing it when I would sing a song over the years. That's how I managed to remember the lyrics, if I haven't already mentioned that before. Is that for one reason or another, this song stuck in my head, and I would just like sing it to myself, because I was just a very weird child. And I would just kind of, every once in a while, it would run back through my head. And so there are some lyrics where I'm kind of curious to know, like, if maybe early on, like, within the first 2 or 3 years of me singing it to myself, I misremembered one of the lyrics or something like that. And then over time, like, kind of made up new lyrics, and then just eventually convinced myself that those were the original lyrics. I don't think there's anything like that in here, but that's one of the things I'm most curious to see in the original.
Can see those orange midgets that you see.
Also, I know I'm pausing a lot, but I'm very curious to see like how I managed to do with the gestures, because there are a couple of things. Like I do remember like him kind of pointing out to show how short the Oompa Loompas are. I do remember him pointing, but I don't remember if it's like that exaggerated, or if it's more exaggerated. I don't know. I feel like I tend to kind of, like, you can especially see in certain shots, like lip syncing, I tended to kind of overdo it with this one. There's the one shot of like me, like the wide shot of me playing guitar and lip syncing. I guess I'll just refer to that as the base shot for this video, because that's just kind of, that's like the base that all the other shots stand on. Anytime there was a point where I wasn't sure what the visuals in the original were, I would put that shot in. And I'm pretty sure I got most of the shots correct. Hopefully. I guess we'll see. But with the lip syncing for that one, there's a couple parts in particular that look really fucking bad. Like, I really overdid the lip syncing, but I kind of felt like that was in line with the style of the time. You do one take and it's good enough. But also, like, I do remember the lip singing being a lot more subtle in the original. I'm assuming that's because he was actually playing the song when he was singing and was just more focused on the guitar. But I didn't think that it was that big of an issue to go back and re-record it. And also, I didn't feel like setting up the camera and recording. It's an absolute pain in the ass working with this camera the whole time, because there's no screen on the front side of it, so I have no clue. Like, I did a quick test shot to make sure that I was in frame, but this whole time I'm thinking, like, the camera looks like it's turned too far over. I feel like I'm probably not even in the shot.
In that Willy Wonka movie, it will be.
Okay, I know I'm pausing all the time, but this is something I'm curious about. Or mentioning that it will be Beast. Was that a thing that people said back in 2008? Or was that a thing that just he said? Or did I misunderstand that lyric entirely and it's not at all what he said? Because I was thinking about that. I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody else anywhere else say that'll be Beast. But at the same time, it does feel like something that would have existed in like 2008 slang. So, I don't know. I wonder if maybe that was just an inside joke for Chris Ray Gun, and I just happened to remember it.
Oh, I promise it will be.
All right, this shot, I do definitely remember that there was a shot of him wearing a wig, and this is actually an old wig that I have for an old character that my friend used to play. I think this is actually the second one, because we ended up buying a different one later on, but even then, I think this was like from 2011, maybe 2012 when we bought this at the absolute latest. So it's a pretty old wig, and it's been sitting like just stuffed back in a box somewhere. It fucking smelled like shit. So I washed it as best as I could, and for some reason I don't know why it sat on my head this way, but like it shouldn't be. I think it might just be the fact that I have such long hair that maybe it would just like kind of grip on my forehead, and then the hair would just kind of pull it forward. I don't know. I mean, I think it looks funny, but that's not the way I remembered it looking. But this whole shot of him singing, I feel like this is one that I might have got wrong, because I feel like it shouldn't have gone on for as long as it did, but I couldn't think of any other shots to cut back to. Like, maybe cut back to a reaction shot of him sitting on the bed, like just, I don't know, like wiping his glasses off, or making some sort of what the fuck face or something like that. But I didn't remember anything specific, so I didn't end up doing that. So I just kept this shot. Like I said, I feel like it goes on for too long. Oh, well, the camera turned off. Well, I guess this is going to be an audio-only one. I wonder if that actually saved the video. But there are a couple of gestures that I'm reasonably certain that I got correct. Like, I do remember him kind of like rocking back and forth and waving his hands around. And then there's this one here where he kind of grabs at his stomach. I don't know why I remember that being in the original, but I do. I don't know if I got it in the correct order or like with correct timing or whatever, but...
Be the coolest thing you've ever seen. Oh, I promise it will be.
I didn't mention it before, but this shot in particular, I look fucking disgusting. I think I recorded the bass shot, you know, me playing the guitar and everything, which was surprisingly very warm, wearing the sweater and getting, you know, going in front of and behind the camera and all that. And then I did this one afterwards, because I know I was going to wear the wig, and so I figured I'd do that last to get my hair messed up. But then it was just those two shots I recorded this day, but for some reason... I think it's a combination of the fact that I was a little bit sweaty and the camera is just shit. It just made me look so fucking disgusting. So I could have redone this shot altogether, but I didn't.
Promise it will be the coolest thing you've ever seen, the best you've ever seen.
All right. I really wish I don't know why the fucking camera died. For a reaction video, it would have been nice to be able to have a face cam. But, you know, I don't have a face cam, so I guess we'll see how this looks then.
You guys aren't going to believe what happened to me today, so I'm going to sing a song about it.
Okay, yeah, I did get that wrong. Like I said, with the opening and closing lines, I wasn't positive if I was getting those correct, because, like, obviously I didn't quote those when I would sing the song, but I remembered the basics of it. But I'm curious to see if there are any other lyrics like that. I know he posted the lyrics in the description, but I didn't look ahead on those because I don't want to get spoiled. Okay, yeah, that was pretty different from how I remember it. But there was one shot here. Let me see. Yeah, this shot right here, very, very briefly showing a different angle. I did remember, and I did record a shot of like a close-up on like the buttons, but I didn't use it because there was no place where I felt that it fit. But yeah, I'm already getting some things wrong, so it makes me curious to see what the rest is going to be like.
Well, I was sitting in my bedroom playing Halo, and my friend comes in and says, man, you got to see what I TV...
Okay, that's fucking bizarre, because I swear I remembered him walking through a door on that part. That's so fucking weird. I guess that just goes to show, like, how unreliable your memory actually is, that you can, especially from something, you know, a decade plus ago, you kind of fill in the gaps when you're re-remembering whatever it was, and then eventually you just convince yourself that, oh yeah, that's definitely what it actually was like. I assume I didn't make up the part with him wearing the wig, but I guess we'll find out when I get to there.
And I said, I can't play now, I'm almost dead, I'll play instead. He said, Mr. Wonka.
Yeah, and that's another one where I remember, like this shot of him, I swear I remember him looking to the left of the screen and not to the right. So I don't know why the fuck I remembered it. Like, I'm remembering the basics of it, but I'm just getting little things like that off. That's super fucking bizarre.
I'll play instead. He said, Mr. Wonka just sent out 5 golden tickets, and if you happen to find one, you can see those.
I got the voice crack. You got it right. I didn't make that one up. That was real. I don't think I got it sounding correct, obviously, because like I said, I don't think it's I don't even know if it's possible to get a realistic voice crack if you don't actually just have a natural voice crack. But yeah, I that's how I would always sing it, and so I did manage to remember that correctly.
Tickets, and if you happen to find one, you can see those orange midgets that you see in that Willy Wonka movie.
Okay, he wasn't stroking his chin. I remember that being the case, but I guess it was close enough.
It will be beast. Oh, I promise.
I was going to mention that. I did get that. I did manage to get that correct. I did remember, like originally when I was putting together the music video, the way that I thought that I remembered it was that it cut back to his reaction right as soon as it got to the chorus, right as soon as it got to the oh part. But you do actually see like just a second or two of him starting to sing it before it cuts back to him, and then with the wig on. So I'm glad I caught that in editing and decided to add that in, because I almost didn't, because I was starting to think, like, am I just making that up? Like, is that a thing that actually happened, or does it just feel like that was a thing that happened? And again, like I said, it's totally possible there are certain things that I'm misremembering from different parodies.
Willy Wonka movie, it will be beast. Oh, I promise it will be the coolest thing you'll ever see. Oh.
Okay, yeah, so like I said, I knew that I was wrong with the how long the clip was. I just didn't remember that it took such a long time to cut back to him, and that it cuts back to this reaction. Hopefully, when it cuts back to him wearing the wig, he will be doing those gestures that I said that I was pretty positive I got correct, because if not, I don't know what the fuck to think.
Oh, I promise it will be the coolest thing you'll ever see, the best you'll ever see.
Yeah, okay. What the fuck? That's I swear it's so fucking bizarre how I swear I remember it being the way that I made it, but it clearly isn't. That's so fucking weird. But anyway, now that we're at the end of the chorus, gotta go to this next part. Back to my part.
The hype was rising, so I jumped straight into my...
So, this annotation here, I don't remember if that was actually an annotation on the video, or if that was baked in text, or a comment, maybe something in the description. I haven't looked through the whole description on the original video, so I don't know if it's just the lyrics. But now, after seeing what I just saw, it makes me question if it was even a thing. And this was one of the parts where I'm not totally positive if I got the visuals correct. Because, like, I'm pretty sure there was, like, a picture of, like a sports car or whatever, a red sports car, that's how I remember it, followed by GTA footage, just plowing through a whole bunch of pedestrians and shit. And so I just found the closest approximation to that I could, and I did link to that as well. This one I did speed up, just because I feel like it might have been sped up in the original. I remember it being super fast, but as I've just learned now, my memory is apparently not as crystal clear as I would like to think it is. But yeah, for this one shot here, I did, I mentioned before, I did my own parody of Hey There Delilah, but I also made a version specifically for Facebook, which is probably lost media now at this point, because I deleted my Facebook years ago, and I don't know if I ever backed up that one specific video.
Time it seems to slip away, started at noon and now it's 8, but I've got some Red Bull, so that's okay.
But I didn't even bother like trying to make a music video. I just did like a series of like Google images that I would just, fade in and then fade out. And so with this one right here, this is very possible that I'm getting this confused with my own music video.
To my car, Beeline 4711, bought 1,000 Wonka bars.
Alright, this is another one where this 1,000 candy bars equals $1,000. I'm pretty damn sure that was in the original, or at the very least an annotation, if it wasn't baked in the video, an annotation or a comment, because I swear I remember that. Not the reason why I swear I remember that is because I remembered thinking that candy bars aren't $1, they're like $1.25 or whatever, not realizing that, depending on where you live, they're going to be different prices. But having the text appear at this point in the video, I'm really not sure about. I kind of feel like I remembered it showing up later on when he's saying I ate 1,000 bars and somehow didn't gain a pound, but that's something I'll be curious to see. And as you'll see in this upcoming shot, this is one of the points where I think the lip syncing was a little bit too over exaggerated.
Then check them all. Then check the ones in all.
So this is another shot I'm not totally positive about, but I do seem to remember this, like, talking about all the ones in all the malls being like a shot of, basically what you see here. Like, I feel pretty confident this is a reasonable proximity of what it actually was. That it was just like a store shelf. It might have been like an actual store shelf picture in like an actual store, or like I remembered it being more like an end cap display or something like that, with just some like slowly disappearing. This might have been where the text 1,000 bars equals $1,000 came in. I'm not entirely sure, but given what happened last time, seeing the first part of the video, I wonder if I just maybe made this up entirely.
All the malls, chances got small. I ate 1,000 bars and somehow didn't gain a pound, when deep from within my brother's room I heard a ticket be found by my bro.
So not a whole lot to talk about here, but a couple quick things is, well, for one thing, there was a frame somewhere in this spot, like somewhere roughly around here, that originally was one of the thumbnails for this video. YouTube has a feature, if you don't know, I don't know if it's like for specific creators or not, whatnot, but where you can upload 3 different thumbnails, and it'll kind of give those thumbnails out to random people, like in random places, like if it's your subscriber feed, your subscriptions feed, or your homepage, or whatever, and it'll just kind of track which thumbnails get the highest click-through rate. I don't personally see a ton of value in that, but it is a thing where a lot of times I'm conflicted about which thumbnail to use for a video, and so it's useful for that. But if you've ever seen a YouTube video that seems like they change the thumbnail back and forth, that's probably what's going on. And it's kind of weird how like it seems like it's just randomly, like I think with this one it took like 3 weeks before it settled on the thumbnail, and then there's another one that I did at one point where it was literally like 48 hours it decided on a thumbnail. I don't know for sure how it figures all that. But this was one of the thumbnails that I chose, like somewhere a frame around here, because I did 3 different thumbnails. I did one that was, I think it's the one that ended up getting chosen, which is just kind of like me with a guitar with the annotation, because I figured that would kind of signify the old YouTube aesthetic. There was another shot of me in the white shirt pointing. That one was my favorite, and I think that one looked like it was going to win. But I just picked that one just because I thought it looked funny. And then this one, the one from right around here, I picked because this is right in the dead center of the video. And if you don't remember, back in the earlier days of YouTube, like, I don't remember when this happened, but there was a point in time where nobody could add custom thumbnails. I think maybe some YouTube partners were allowed to do custom thumbnails, but I think even then there was a point where nobody was allowed to do custom thumbnails. The only say you had over the thumbnails were you could pick one, like it would just pick the frame from the direct dead center of the video, and it would pick one from like, you know, a third of the way through the video, and then one 2/3 of the way through the video. And those were your 3 thumbnail options. And so I picked the one right in the middle, because it is, you know, it's not like a super, super funny face or whatever, but I figured some people would probably find it funny. And also it's the exact center. Like I said, I felt like that was a subtle reference. If you weren't there for this, there's no way you would ever know about this, but that was a thing back in like the early days of Rickrolling, where the video, it would just be, you know, the music video for Never Gonna Give You Up, but then halfway through the video there would just be like 1 second of just some random ass Google image or Photoshopped image or something like that, so that way that would show up as the thumbnail for the video.
You find a video that looks cool. When you click on it, it's just some random guy. It's halfway through, so it comes a picture. Gotta make you understand. Booting your computer up, then you're going on YouTube. Find a cool video, but it's very cool.
It's kind of unfortunate that that's probably entirely gone from the website now, because there's really no use for it when anybody can just do a custom thumbnail on your video.
What would I do? I didn't know. I didn't know.
Alright, so I'm actually going to stop it right before the chorus, because I'm reasonably positive that the next shot, the chorus for this is correct. More certain than I was about the previous stuff that I got wrong. But I just kind of want to go back to the original now and see how horribly incorrect I got it.
The hype was rising, so I jumped straight into my car, beeline for 7-Eleven.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's GTA footage. I haven't played a single GTA game, but based on, I think that's GTA footage. I guess I got the sports car look right. It's just blue and not red the way I remembered it. But I think that's just because red is like the most common color for sports cars, it seems. Like that's, if I imagine you like a convertible, it's red in my mind, which sucks because blue is a much better color. I don't know why that's not more common.
Was rising, so I jumped straight into my car. Beeline for 7-Eleven, bought
Okay, so I did actually get that correct. I think I didn't get the font correct. I just guessed on the color. So that's kind of funny that I managed to get that correct. I think I maybe spelt it. I did a couple things different. I think I put like an ellipses. I don't know if did I put the comma? I might have put the comma. I mean, it's not that it really matters all that much, but okay, I didn't put the comma. I think that was, oh yeah, and it doesn't spell out dollars, but oh, that's a great face. But I think there were parts of me where I just kind of, I went with what I assumed would be the common choice for somebody making a video, in 2008. I think I just used like the default text, and just spelt it out. I didn't put any spelling mistakes. I think I maybe considered it, or at least I've done stuff like that before. But yeah, I'm actually pleasantly surprised that was not horribly incorrect.
1,000 Wonka bars and check them all.
I do remember that. I don't know why I remember that, like it just being a close-up of his face when he was saying that, just his mouth.
Then check the ones in all the malls. Chances got
Okay, I immediately remember that. I do remember, and I remember when I was making mine. Like I said, I remembered that being like the visual of the candy bars disappearing, which again, like I said, probably either confusing it with my own music video or with somebody else's. But I did remember there being something, some text on screen, like at the end. If I'm remembering this correctly, once it gets all the way down to 0, it's going to say something. It's going to say, not looking good right now, is it? Or just something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is. But that's the way I remember this happening. So we'll see. Okay, I guess just 2.1.
I ate 1,000 bars and somehow didn't gain a pound. And deep from within my brother's room, I heard a ticket be found by my bro.
Okay, I aside from like the shot, like I said, or maybe I didn't mention earlier on, but I did remember, the way I remember it was like he was sitting on his bed playing Halo, and like it would just go back to that shot every time, like for the rest from that angle. But aside from that, like that wasn't horribly off the way I did it. I guess he's not like rubbing his stomach like he's sick, but that's for some reason how I remembered it.
What would I do? I didn't know. I didn't know.
All right, I'm gonna get back to mine now.
I didn't know. Give the ticket here to me. Oh, you stupid little freak.
Not a whole lot to talk about with this part. Like I said, I'm reasonably certain, like more so than the rest of my reasonable certainties so far, that I got this correct, because I remember it just being like a wide shot followed by a close-up shot that I'm not positive if it was handheld or if it was just he moved the tripod closer or moved closer to the camera. But this is a shot where I mentioned earlier where I do remember like him taking like a second for when the lyrics kick on to where he just snaps into character. But I don't think I did a very good job at portraying this here. This was one of the shots that I considered redoing, and maybe I should have, but I guess it's probably not that big of a deal.
Give the ticket here to me. Oh, you stupid little freak.
Oh yeah, that was another 2008 solution where I don't know why, but for some reason I didn't hold on the freak for long enough, and so I just slowed it down.
You stupid little freak.
I did, though, make sure to force resample, so that way I guess I can just kind of go frame by frame. Yeah, it's most noticeable in the final frame there. But yeah, so it just kind of blends frames together to make an in-between frame. I kept it at 15 frames per second because that's what the camera I was using shoots at. But it is noticeable that it's slowed down, but I feel it's less so noticeable than if I would have kept it at the resample at 30 frames per second.
Oh, you stupid stupid little freak. I ran straight to the factory and stood there very plain.
All right, so this shot followed by the next one of looking up. I can't remember for sure if he was actually standing outside or if he was inside, but I remember it being like a very, very tight close-up shot of like pretty much just his eyes. Although this first shot, I feel like there's a part of me that thinks that maybe this was like a full headshot and that he was actually like standing outside. I don't know for sure. So I'm curious to see how that looks.
To see, well, 3 or 4 other children came to wait. He opened up the chamber doors and rose right on up through the floors and led.
This is also another part where I'm pretty sure I got the lyrics correct. So far, it seems like I've gotten the lyrics more or less 100% correct. I haven't been paying as close attention to those as the visuals, but there's nothing that's stood out as being incorrect. Like, there's some of the timing on some of the lines that is a little bit different from the way that I remember it. But, like, the lyrics themselves so far haven't been incorrect. But this is one part where I think there's a slight possibility I got it at least partially incorrect. If only because the line...
He opened up the chamber doors and rose right on up through the floors and led us in through all the chocolate gates.
Doesn't really sound that natural to me. It sounds kind of weird and clunky. So I don't know if I maybe misremembered some of the lines and just kind of filled in the gaps in my head, or if maybe I just misheard some of the lyrics and thought they were something else. Or it could just be that Chris Ray Gun was, 13, 14 years old and just threw this together in an afternoon or something like that.
Led us in through all the chocolate gates, and one by one
This is another part, kind of like the guitar part, where it definitely, in the original, it was not an NES zapper. I'm assuming that it was probably like an airsoft gun or maybe a paintball gun. I remember it looking at least semi-realistic. It might have even been a real gun. That thought did cross my mind when I was making this video. Was like, what if the person who made this ended up being like a school shooter or some shit like that, and like that was an actual real gun that he used or some crazy shit like that. Not that I thought that was an actual strong possibility, but I just thought that's weirder things can and have happened. But I don't have an airsoft gun or paintball gun or anything like that, but I have an NES zapper, and so again, it just seemed like a very 2008 solution to the problem.
the kids all died and I'm the only one alive, and I've got the chocolate factory to myself and all the air.
Alright, so this is something, based on what's happened so far, I'm gonna assume that I got this incorrect. I considered putting text on screen that said, elves equal Oompa Loompas, kind of like the 1,000 bars equals $1,000 thing, just because I felt like that was something that could have been in the original, but I also thought maybe I was just getting that confused with, the 1,000 bars equals $1,000 thing. So I didn't take notice of this until after I'd already finished recording this video, but I went back to the original video's description to read through the lyrics, and you can see right down here next to the line, and all the elves, in parentheses it says Oompa Loompas. And so that's what I was getting that confused with. This visual, this was something when I was making this, I was not sure was correct. One of the least sure things about this was adding this visual, and so that tells me it's almost certainly not in the original. Because, again, like I said, I think I might just be getting this confused with my own parody music video. The thing with, Legolas in the background, like that could very well just be like, oh, that sounds like something that would have happened, if this is how somebody in 2008 made it. But it would be pretty funny if it turned out to be that, like, this was actually in the music video. This is the one thing that I was not sure about that was actually in the original. But then the other part about this that I think I might be getting incorrect is the length of the note elves. The all the elves. Because that's in the original Hey There Delilah. Like that part it's stretched out that long. But I'm pretty sure I remember in Hey Mr. Wonka, the original, that was cut short. But that was one where I couldn't remember. I wasn't sure if I was getting that correct or not, because James at War also made a parody of Hey There Delilah called Hey Harry Potter, and the YouTube version has shit audio.
They did not believe me and the police came, and you're to blame.
So when he released an album of a bunch of his songs later on, he re-recorded that song, and for that part of the song, in the YouTube version, it's, the length of the original song, but he like basically cut it in half in the album version.
They did not believe me and the police came, and you're to blame.
And so I don't know if I was maybe thinking of that for this, but also like I couldn't figure out a way to do to cut the note short that's in a way that sounded natural, and that also didn't sound like I was just redoing what James at War did for his. So I decided to keep it, but like this section right here, you know, because of the visuals and because of the audio thing, I am the most sure so far of anything that I got incorrect. Okay, I'm going to pause it right here. There's not a whole lot left after this, and it's, you know, maybe the most sure I am that I got it correct, so it's at least interesting. But just mention, if you missed it, and it's probably super obvious, and if you didn't notice, you'll notice it after I point it out, the background here is CGI. Because I wanted to make this look as much like a 2008 computer setup as I could, and I know that like 16:9 monitors existed in 2008, but I feel, you know, when you set something in the past, you don't really do an accurate representation of that time period. You just kind of do like a caricature of it, right? Like if you're setting something in the 90s, you're not going to have characters on a laptop or on a cell phone, even though those both existed back then. They're just kind of more of like a 2000s technology. And so even though, like I said, 16:9 monitors obviously existed in 2008, I feel like, you know, 16:9 widescreen, like I think of that as more of like a 2010s era thing, or at the very least, that's when everybody made the switch to widescreen. Although that could just be me conflating PC monitor with TVs, because I feel like 2010 was when everybody made the switch to HD TVs. And also, like, my family was very technologically behind. I think at this point in time, we were still using a CRT monitor, which actually I'm going to see if I can find it. I might have some very old videos from, like, around this time, like 2008, where you can see the computer setup. If I find that, I'll put that up on screen. But what I did for this shot here is I just set the camera up in front of my computer. My desk is very, very cluttered and messy and whatever, and I just didn't feel like cleaning it off. But it's kind of hard to tell with the camera quality anyway. But I just, recorded myself sitting down in front of the computer, just rotoscoped myself out and recreated the computer as best as or the setup as best as I could, and then put, you know, the 4x3 monitor, the bulky gray keyboard. I didn't add any of the textures to it, so they're all just blank keys. But it would be a lot of time spent for something you wouldn't even be able to see. And then I put these old speakers that I feel like everybody had back in like the early 2000s or whatever, and we had up until, you know, like 2010. I feel like those, I really wish I would have done a little bit better of a job to make them look more realistic. They look a little too cartoony. Like, they look a little too smooth, too clean. I don't know. It's kind of hard to put my finger on what exactly it is. But by the time I made this CG render thing, when I was ready to render it out, I think I had like 48 hours before it was April 1st. So I kind of dialed back some of the render settings. Like the shadows aren't quite as smooth as they could have been, because I did the math. It's like, it'll take like 32 hours to render this if I'm rendering it at this quality. I don't want to push it to that late. And that's only if I don't run into any issues. But now I'm going to bet that after all of this shot of him sitting down at the computer desk isn't even in the original video, because that just seems to be how it's been working so far.
Oh, I didn't know. Give the ticket here to me.
Alright, so this is another one where I obviously got the positioning wrong. You know, he's facing left instead of facing right, like in mine. Also, I got the gestures more or less correct, but they are way more reserved than the way I did them.
Yo, you stupid little freak. Give the ticket.
Okay, I didn't remember this being a front-facing shot, but you could see, like, you know, where he's kind of waiting.
Give the ticket here to me. Yo, you stupid little freak.
What the fuck was that? Oh, I think he was just grabbing out to take it. I thought maybe he was holding something like a knife or some shit like that.
Freak. I ran straight to the factory.
Yeah, I I did, get it correct that there's a shot of him running out the door. That was one where I was like, one of the lesser sure about moments was that shot. Like I thought when I filmed that like maybe that shot was used at the part, when he said the hype is rising, so I jumped right into my car. That maybe like it showed him running outside. But I eventually realized that like I'm pretty sure that was just used here at this point.
And stood there
Okay, he's actually outside. Like I said, I couldn't remember for sure, so I just filmed it inside. My assumption was that he recorded everything just like in his bedroom or whatever, over the course of like, however long it takes to set up the camera. So, like an hour and a half or something like that. But I guess he is outside.
very plain to see while 3 or 4 other children came to wait. He opened up the chamber doors and rose right up on through the floor and led.
Okay, so that was not too far off. A little bit different from the lyrics. And yeah, he's back inside again. So I guess I was half right then in that sense. And also
Through the floor and led us
shot
in
here.
through all the chocolate
I
gates.
didn't remember this appearing this early on. Oh
One
yeah,
by-
you can definitely tell it's not a real gun. I mean, I could already tell it wasn't a real gun, but for sure that is very much a toy gun.
I won, the kids all died, and I'm the only one alive, and I got the chocolate factory to myself, and all the elves.
Okay, I didn't remember that shot at all. That's weird. And also, yeah, I guess there's no shot of him sitting down. But yeah, that was not as different as I was thinking it would have been based on previous stuff.
And all the elves.
Okay, I'm glad I decided not to cut that note short, because I guess I was just getting it confused with James at War in that case. Or possibly just another parody that is long gone that I only listened to one time. So I didn't even need to do any of this then. Alright, so for this part, I'm not totally positive if he was, writing like a WordPad or Notepad, whatever you call it on Windows XP. This is, I don't have a Windows XP or a 4x3 monitor. This is just I just typed this out on WordPad on my computer on my Windows 11. I don't even know whatever the most recent Windows is. But I just typed it out, and then I just found like this old Windows XP Notepad thing, and I just kind of put this around, rendered it, recorded the screen, and then just kind of put like a border around it to make it look like a 4x3 monitor. It was probably more work than was necessary, and especially given what I've seen so far. I'm assuming in the original, like, you can't even see the full screen or the program that he's using or anything, and it might also be like an email being written out. I just remember that like the text was being written out, and I couldn't remember if it was like being typed out in time with the song, or if it was faster or slower, whatever it was. So what I did is I just screen recorded it, took my time typing it out. I'm a very, very, very slow typer. One of these days I'll have to get to Mario Teaches Typing too, because I do have that, so I'll have to learn how to type from Mario. I wonder if Mario can teach me how to speak. But I just took my time typing it out, and then I edited it to the original song, and I took each sentence and timed it up with each sentence from the song, so it's not like every word is coming out in beat with the song, or in time with the song, rather. But it's coming out more or less in sync with the lyrics, and then I rendered it with this border, and then recorded it with my camera. This is the first thing I recorded for this video, actually.
Hey, Mr. Wonka, will those kids ever recover, or will they simply be left to rot and later be discovered in 8 years? Hey, Mr. Wonka, that's quite weird. Hey, Mr. Wonka, this...
Alright, so there's something right there. I remember that last, hey, Mr. Wonka, like something was off about that. I'm gonna assume that it was like a voice crack in the original, but I remember just like he kind of like fucked up saying Mr. It was either that he said it weird or accidentally mistyped it, and like in my brain I just confused the two. So I was trying to find a way to make it sound like a natural fuck up, and so I just chose to sing it as Midster, but it could have been, like I said, I'm assuming it's probably going to be like a voice crack or something like that, but I just remember there being something off about that in the original.
Still here, They might end up like Britney Spears.
Okay, so a couple things about this. First of all, I'll just mention that I genuinely have no fucking clue what this lyric is implying. Like, I know, like, 2008 or whatever, that was, like, you know, prime everybody shitting on Britney Spears time. So it could just be a general Britney Spears is fucking bizarre lyric. I don't know if there was maybe some controversy in her past that I just forgot about that somehow connects to what's being sung about right here. I mean, it could just be like maybe saying that the kids are going to end up being weird and fucked up like Britney Spears, even though I guess I just interpret it as like the kids are just going to die or whatever. But the other thing, I remember showing the original video to my older brother and his girlfriend, and she pointed out that he spelled Britney Spears wrong. And I don't remember that being the case. And so like originally when I was doing this part, because I did remember that being like the one thing she said about the whole video is that he misspelled Britney Spears. So originally I was thinking like maybe he spelled Spears wrong, like Speers, or just like missed a letter somewhere in there. But then I noticed looking up Britney Spears, I'm sure anybody who knows anything about Britney Spears more than me would know that she spells her name Britney instead of the more common Brittany, like I spelled right here. So I figured it was a safe bet that he spelled it like this, and it should have been spelled, you know, Britney. Or it's equally as possible that he spelled it correctly, and because that looks incorrect to anybody who knows a Britney in real life, maybe she just assumed that it was misspelled because it didn't look like this spelling.
Like Britney Spears.
So that's what happened to me today. Nah, I'm just kidding. I actually found a rock at school that kind of looked like the President of the United States of America.
So I'm pretty sure I got that last quote correct. You know, like I saw before, I got the opening one a little bit incorrect. You know, I got the same basic gist of it, but the wording was not correct. The only thing I can think of that I maybe got wrong was it might have just been I found a rock that kind of looked like the President, and not like specifically the President of the United States of America, or just some variation like that. But yeah, I guess we'll find out right now.
Hey, Mr. Wonka, will those kids ever recover, or will they simply be left to rot and later be...
Okay, minor thing, but yeah, well, first of all, you know, it is just white text, or black text on a white screen, so I guess it was a little too overly ambitious with the visuals on my end, but also just the fact that it types out and then moves on to the next one. For some reason I remembered it just all being on one page, but yeah, minor thing.
Discovered in 8 years.
Maybe that's what it was. She was saying that he misspelled discovered. I guess I'll find out.
Hey, Mr. Wonka, that's quite weird. Hey, Mr. Wonka, there's...
Okay. Yeah, so it was a little bit of both. That he fucked up Mr. and... That I do remember thinking that maybe it was something like this. Like, I don't think I remember specifically the question mark thing, but I remember there being something potentially fucked up with the spelling as well as the pronunciation. But it wasn't a voice crack. That's so off that I wonder if that feels like that was intentional, but I don't know why it would have been.
Hey, Mr. Wonka, there's...
Yeah, Minkth. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's funny either way though, just because it's so fucking bizarre.
Still here. They might end up like Britney Spears.
Okay, you did. I was more or less correct with the misspelling Britney Spears thing.
Like Britney Spears.
Okay, this was one of the other things I was going to mention, is that I was pretty sure that he left out the final chorus and like the vocalization part, and seems like he did, but he just played a little bit more of the instrumental, unless he does throw something in at the very end, I don't know. But I just remember, like, I guess I'll find out in just a second here, but I remember it, like, kind of ending abruptly, like the instrumentation, like the guitar just seemed like there should have been something more there, and so I kind of made my version end a little bit more, in a more of a conclusion, whereas this one I feel like I remember it just kind of stopping at some point, but I guess we'll see. Okay, yep.
And that's what happened to me today. Nah, I'm just kidding. I found a rock outside my school that kind of looked like the President of the United States.
Okay, yeah, so that was... Some parts were a lot closer than I was expecting, and other parts were totally fucking different. I mean, I guess, like, like this was what, one of the first things that I mentioned, and also, yeah, I took off his glasses, so I don't think I knew that was him, unless it's not him. Is that him? Oh, Jesus Christ. My face blindness is worse than I thought. I think that's him, but it might not be him. But if it isn't, I don't know why he wouldn't have had him play somebody else in the video. I'm pretty sure it's him. But yeah, that was a very interesting experience. Like I said, I was not expecting anything to come out of this when I first made the video. I just thought, like, maybe somebody somewhere remembered seeing the video, aside from me. But clearly, like, the view count, not a whole lot of people saw that. Like I said, yeah, no comments. It could be because, like I said, maybe the video was privated at a point and then returned to being unlisted. And, like, because when you private a video, you can't get comments on it. And I think maybe if it's private for long enough, the comments will just get deleted. It's also possible, given how few views it has and how few ratings it has, that it just didn't get any comments. I'm kind of surprised I didn't comment on it. I was expecting to find a comment from me on there. It's also possible that because he's a kid in the video, that maybe, YouTube will detect somebody looks or sounds like a kid. I think it goes more on the voice than on the face. I assume that would just be easier to judge on the audio, but if it detects that a kid is in the video, and it's like prominently a kid in the video, it'll just automatically disable the comments. And so it's possible that maybe that's what happened. Like it detected that and disabled the comments, and then for one reason or another got reverted later on, and like that deleted all the comments. I don't know. But yeah, I will link to the original below. I'll also do like a side-by-side comparison, so you can see how horribly off I was. But this was fun, and that's the end.